Welcome, everybody. We have a packed show today. How you doing? First of all, Mark,
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Inter Miami had two games this past week, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack.
hmm
Um, First of all, before we get into the nitty gritty of things, what's your feeling on what you saw this past week?
you're taking 4 points from a possible six. Um, you know, there's definitely holes in the team. There's definitely, positives, there's negatives, so it's good to get these two games out of the way. Um, against potentially, playoff teams to start off the season. So it's a good sign, to have a quality showing or a showing to get 3 points and a draw against Galaxy, which we'll talk about later. But there's definitely things to talk about. It's gonna be a long, not a long show, but an in-depth show to say the least. There's a lot
Okay.
of points that we want to cover.
All right, so let's get right into it. So Inter Miami opened their season against Real Salt Lake. Real Salt Lake was a team that had a positive view um, at the beginning of the season. They had guys like Diego Luna, who's a U.S. men's youth national team member. They had a few attacking pieces. The team looked like it was poised to take a step this season. Um, and my Inter Miami came in with Messi and friends with all the hype. There were a bunch of new acquisitions, a lot of movement in terms of guys going in and out, losing big pieces like Gregory. Uh, and Tata starts off with a 4-3-3. What are your thoughts, first of all, on the formation?
I think it's the formation that we're most balanced in. It gives us, that balance in the midfield, not necessarily with that personnel that we put out there, but going away from the five back, which isn't gonna do anything for us, I don't think, because we don't have the players to do that. It shows that he's capable of adapting to our players and to what we're better suited playing. But tactically, he just needs to pick it up a bit. But the 4-3-3, I think, is going to be a formation that we see a lot this year. Something that suits us, especially when we get those players in the midfield, balanced out.
Okay. One of the big things that I noticed from differences from the World Tour and from the Newell's Old Boys game was something you've been clamoring for. Robert Taylor getting the start. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this team lacks pace everywhere, I would say. Um, we're not fast. We don't have those dynamic wing players, up and down, those, to say the least, Diego Luna type of players, rapid, with the bar at their feet. But we do have Robert Taylor who brings that aspect to the team. Um, he's a guy that can provide Messi with that width that is needed to cut, make those runs outside in, to provide Messi with, link up play, to provide this team with some sort of attacking threat that's not just a Messi taking the ball out in the midfield. Something to relieve that pressure. Robert Taylor, opens up the season with the first goal, of the MLS season in total, and opens up his account this year for Inter Miami. Um, Nonetheless, it's a Messi assist that leads to it. Keeper probably should have made a save on it, but credit to Taylor for putting a little behind the ball and maybe giving the keeper a little hard time. But nonetheless, he gets that first goal, gets that confidence boost going into the season.
Yeah, that was we're all into Miami fans, but that was a soft goal.
Yeah.
Uh, that was allowed. Um, and then Tata continues with the Toto Aviles and Kristoff um, center back pairing. We know
Yeah.
that Jordi Alba on the right and on the left and DeAndre Yedlin on the right are almost immovable at the moment. But what are your thoughts on that center back pairing?
I mean, I think that center back pairing or center back rotation, to say the least, is going to be very straightforward. When Kristoff needs a night off, it's going to be Nicholas Freire. When he's fit and ready to play the full 90 or 75, he's going to play. I think Toto's going to be the guy that starts every game, barring any suspension from yellow or red cards. He's going to be, covering more of that space for Yedlin when he goes attacking for Kristoff if he's caught up a bit. But those two center backs, the way they played in that Real Salt Lake game, and then touching going into that LA Galaxy game, they were on their back foot a lot for that second half, and then the first half of the Galaxy game, they handled it well. I said, it was a bend but don't break mentality with those two. You know, they did give up, possession a couple times, but at the same time, midfield gave up possession. They made a couple crucial tackles. They really solidified, the back line to the extent that we didn't give up too many goals, which we could have given up 3 or 4 goals in both games. Um, but going forward, I think they should play better. And given that rotational piece of Freire, they should have a good, foundation there. Not saying that they shouldn't add another center back because we know this team needs another center back. It's no question. But those two to start the season, 1 goal allowed is something to to work with.
Okay. So let's dive right into the Real Salt Lake game. Um, First half, Inter Miami comes out. Everybody looks fresh. Everybody looks to have a spring in their step, and Inter Miami looks like they're going to win the championship in that first half. What do you think of that first half?
Yeah, we started off hot to say the least. We dominated possession, dominated the shot totals. Had the bigger chances created. I would say, Diego Gomez should have 2 goals. The other one ball squared across the frame of goal. Could have done better with it. Messi had a couple chances there. We were on the attacking. We had our foot on the gas to say the least. Getting corners, getting set pieces. Making that Real Salt Lake team really defend. Um, and our defense and our back line, there was a couple counter attacks. Toto put out a fire with a nice tackle back there, but they didn't really see a lot of attacking prowess from Salt Lake in that first 45.
Yeah, as you can see, they only had 4 shots with zero being on target, and they only had 39% possession. So Inter Miami definitely, dominated that first half in terms of statistically. Messi had 2 chances in the first 17. What do you think about him in that first half?
He was active. He was trying to find those pockets of space. Trying to take on those defenders. Doing what Messi does, dropping a shoulder, going left, getting it onto that favorite left foot. Um, Making the defense work is what he's gonna do, and then at the same time, Suarez is gonna try to find those pockets of space in between. That Messi plays them in between the center back and the right back. Really looking for that link up that we're used to with those two. Messi just decided, hey, I'm gonna take up the ball here, and then you guys do your best to try and stop me. And you know, he got opportunity to score, and that opens up the game for Robert Taylor to make runs in behind, Diego Gomez to get forward, and Gressel is as poor as he was to try and get forward and provide that width to provide balls into Suarez and to Taylor and stuff like that.
Now
Messi opens up the game.
you mentioned Suarez. What was your assessment?
Hmm.
And uh, Alex says that Suarez is out of shape, but what was your
I
assessment
mean,
in terms of what you saw from him in that
assessment.
first
I
half?
mean, it's everyone sees it. He really can't run. It hurts to run. You can see it. There's a limp after a certain amount of time. Movement wise, it's limited. Um, but football IQ, tactically, you know, he knows the game, so he's gonna be able to find a run in between, time his run with the ball so he's not offside and stuff like. Even though he does get cut offside a lot, he's gotta get back to that timing, you know, when to make that run, when to get in behind, when to play the feet. But he did find, cutting onto his left, something that he's a right-footed shooter. Um, Cutting onto his left, gave that Salt Lake defense a little bit of, hey, what's he gonna do here? He dropping into that false nine position, also letting Messi, attack further and letting Gomez get in on the attack and stuff like that. Really trying to find the ball to feet to just get the offense going. So going forward with Luis Suarez, it's gonna be a question of how healthy can he be? Can he find, some semblance of, form to keep up with the season?
Now, Alex says that he looked horrible on the pitch, but he did just enough. Was that
Yeah.
your view in the first half, or
Uh,
was he better in the first half and then kind of faded
I
towards
mean,
the end?
f- it towards the end, I mean, you can expect them to look worse in the first half, because the first half he's more active. He's probably going to use more energy in that first half. Try to get a goal, try to get 2 goals, try to give us a lead that we can work with. Coming in that second half, he's probably going to play. I would think maybe going forward 15 to 20, 25 minutes in that 15 to 30 range. And you bring him on and you got to keep him fresh. So looking horrible, yeah, I can see it. It's just it's more of the movement. He's limited movement. So asking him to chase an over the top through ball for 30 for 25 yards, he's not going to be able to do. Asking him, to do the old Suarez is not going to happen. So those are the things that he's going to look horrible at. So I mean, it's just a timing thing. When is he gonna be able to put it all together if he can stay healthy and stuff like that?
Now you mentioned Gressel earlier.
I did.
What was your? You said he had a poor performance, but
Yeah.
what was your impression of him in the first half?
He had a okay first 25, I would say. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't over the top. It was average. Playing that center mid position, which I don't think he's suited for. Um, he's gonna provide better options as a wide player. He's just gonna give those whip balls in. He's a good set piece taker and stuff like that. He's not a central midfielder, and that's where that midfield combo with him and Busquets lacks balance. And we'll talk about that later. But Gressel, he misplaced a lot of passes. Him tracking back on defense centrally isn't his thing. Turno turnovers in the middle, putting the defense on the back foot and stuff like that. So those are things he has to clean up if that is going to put him as a midfielder, as a central midfielder. He's better suited out wide. So it's just that's where that you know Redondo. That's that Redondo position. That's where he would play when he eventually gets into the squad.
Tata learned. Remember, Gressel was with Tata at Atlanta United, and he learned to depend on him almost. Uh, do you think that if these poor performances continue, that he might be replaced, or is stubborn Tata gonna come out and
No,
he's
no,
just going to be a lineup
eh,
mainstay?
no, no, no. I think I when Redondo's ready to play, he plays over Gressel. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay, okay.
So I mean, I think that Gressel's just he's just being he's just there just to hold that spot till Redondo gets in. I think Gressel becomes a rotational piece, not a full-time starter. But he will be part, of that rotation, the squad rotation when we get into, the really hectic part of the season, the CONCACAF games, the Open Cup games, all those things.
Now the first half rounds out, and Robert Taylor scores that goal.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, find that your impression of that first goal and where that first half ended.
We had the momentum going into half for sure. It was a matter of getting that second goal because you don't want to give any life to Real Salt Lake. You don't want to give them any sense of hope that they're in the game after being out of the game for 45 minutes. You don't want to give up a counterattack. So it's all about can you keep your foot on the gas for 2 halves against a team that like Real Salt Lake who has pace, something we can't defend at and something that we really struggle with. And surely enough, the second half starts and it's an onslaught by Real Salt Lake. They are on the front foot. We are pinned in our own half. We cannot get the ball out. We can't do any of that. Like there were stretches of 3, 5 minutes where it's just them constantly attacking, and you can see the wear and tear on our guys just like defending for so long at parts of the game where like, okay, wow, what's going on?
Do you think so? That first half we looked great. Second half, as you say, we start to break down a bit. We start to
Mhm.
struggle. Um, do you think that there's any hangover from all the travel on the world tour? Do you think that
No,
that contributed to second half heavy legs?
no, I wouldn't say all of it, maybe some of it, but more of it comes tactically. Like if they're overloading the midfield against us. Like we need more numbers in the midfield. We can't have Robert Taylor just sitting on the left wing just waiting for the ball. Tuck him in more, tuck in Gomez more, tuck in Russell more, provide the options for Busquets to play the ball out. And like we couldn't. We as you see here, the possession split, they were clearly the more offensive team. Um, with the 5 corners and the 13 shots.
Yeah, it's a
But
drastic change from that first half.
yeah, they really pinned us back. I counted, maybe 3, 4 straight possessions where it was Busquets giving the ball away, Alba giving the ball away, Toto giving the ball away, or Sergey giving the ball away. Those are things that we have to like control if we want to beat the Orlando's, beat LAFC, beat Columbus Crew, because those teams will press you, and they're gonna press you until you make a mistake. Granted, we made mistakes, but we didn't pay for them. So that's something, to hang your hat on, to calendar, to the back line, when that ball is given away, we didn't give up a goal. So those are things that you definitely need to work on. And against that Salt Lake attack in that second half, I thought they were gonna get a goal. Luckily they didn't, so we move with that.
Alex says if they had a decent nine, Miami
Uh,
would have lost.
Chicho
From
Arango's a
Real
good
Salt Lake,
nine.
I imagine.
Okay,
Says you
that
guys
that
think
that Campana question I can get to later, but I want to answer his first one.
right.
Chicho Arango, we gotta remember he played for LAFC. He can score, but he's a hothead. He's a Colombian international, I believe. He is a hothead.
Oh,
But
that was
the
evident
guy,
in that game.
the guy can score. It's just that he's got to put it all there mentally. He can't get frustrated and stuff like that. On the field, I saw him frustrated a couple times that he wasn't served the ball and stuff like that. So him calming down and just playing and letting Luna give him service and stuff like that, and playing just freely, I think he can be a good goal scorer for that team.
I think that on a couple of occasions, you mentioned that Miami's very vulnerable to the counterattack, and on
Mhm.
multiple occasions, it looked like the counterattack was there,
Mhm.
and it just fizzled out. It
Yeah.
almost as if Real had a little bit of heavy legs or trouble getting out into the break, and Arango was
Yeah.
just yelling and
Yeah. Yeah.
berating his teammates,
Yeah.
almost imploring them to
He's
get up the field.
mhm. But
That's okay.
he's a good number nine. He's a good number nine for the MLS. I think he can put maybe 15 away this season for them.
Okay. Now you said that in our preview, you had said that Inter Miami was vulnerable to the counterattack.
Hmm.
In that second half, Real Salt Lake put us on our heels. It's almost like we decided to park the bus and just absorb pressure, and then turnover, breakaway. We get a break, and we get a second goal. What you see in us turning the tables on that situation?
Relief because we got to go late. It was a counterattack with Gomez, Suarez, and Messi linking up, and Gomez eventually getting that goal. But it was that bend don't break mentality that I had said before. The defense was able to clear the ball, get it up the field, and we found that second goal that we needed. Something to it's a relieve pressure. You're on your back foot the entire second half. To get that second goal and be like, oh my, we can take 3 points from this when it was looking like, oh, we might split a point, we might go down, and we might not get any points. So getting that second goal was big for that. That defense, I would say, that
It
back
was
line.
almost like an exhale once we scored that
Yeah,
second goal.
like like yeah, you relieve pressure. You're like, okay, we can see the game out now, and then and let's take the 3 point. Let's see the 3 points out.
Okay, so
Yeah.
given the end of the game, who do you think was the you know to borrow a hockey term, the three stars of the game?
Oh, that's for that first game was Messi, Toto, and Gomez. I think Gomez being that typical eight box to box type of player. Hustle, getting that goal, being in on the attack, getting in on the defense. Really showed that he had improved and showed what he had been doing for Paraguay in the Olympic qualifiers. And then Toto showing that maturity, playing last year as one of the youngest players in our team. at 19 years old, coming over from Argentina and stuff like that. Put in good tackles. Could do better with the ball at his feet, but had a good game. And obviously, Leo Messi, the conductor of this orchestra, he's gonna be the guy that spearheads us. There's nothing more to say. Also, Jake Callender could have been included in here for a good performance too.
Okay, so calendar definitely that game.
Honorable mention.
Um,
We can give him an honorable mention for the first game.
that'll work. Now back to Alex. Alex has stated that. Do you think Campana should start and Suarez comes off the bench?
Yeah, this is
Suarez
something.
started this game, faded at the end. Campana came in real late in that game. Uh, what do you think should be the game plan given what you saw that first game? And we're gonna talk about Suarez in that second game as well. But after game one, after that Real Salt Lake, what was
Yeah,
your assessment of his performance?
that if Suarez is gonna start, he's gonna go 30. He's gonna go 60 minutes, 55 to 60 minutes. Then you bring in Campana.
Okay, so you
Did
think
you
you
lose me?
think
Can you
Campana
hear me?
comes off the bench and relieves kind of that pressure off of Suarez, freshen up the legs.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I said that if Suarez is gonna go 55 to 60 minutes, Campana needs to play that last 30. That's if Suarez is starting that game.
Okay.
Um, I just don't see him being productive in that last 30, 35 minutes enough for us, if we're down one to go get a goal, that's where you need to bring in Campana. But jumping on his question, do I think he should start? The simple answer is yeah, I think he should.
Okay. Now, Miami walks away with 3 points.
Hmm.
Uh, Great start. Kind of a roller coaster ride. Um, and we move on to LA Galaxy. What was your impression of LA Galaxy going into the game?
Um, Going into that game, they had made three signings that stood out, which were
Hmm.
Gabriel Penk, winger, Brazilian winger, Joseph Painstill, winger from the Belgian league, had played with Genk, and
Hmm.
then Yoshida, center back. Gives them a veteran voice in the back. They're a team that last year they really struggled. They did not do well at all.
Right.
Now they get now they're in year three of Greg Vanney's year three with that team. He's got a team that has real good potential, especially with that attack. With their Serbian striker, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Payne Still and Penk, and then Ricky Puig, playing that 10 role. They can be a very, very dangerous team out west if they put it all together.
Okay. Not to backtrack. You said that their new attack. Do you think that moving on from the Mexican international Chicharito was a good move by LA Galaxy? You think
Yeah,
he's just washing over the hill?
yeah. I just think yeah, it was time for him to go. They're now, they get faster. They get a little bit, they get more dynamic, I would say. They have that true number nine. So I do think they're a better team, better off without Chicharito.
Okay. So you said that they were a good team. They come out and Ricky Puig is just him in his short shorts is just a man on fire. He is just I mean, LA Galaxy jumped on us, and so I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think there's a playbook on Inter Miami given what happened in the second half of Real Salt Lake? Of how
Yeah,
teams are going to attack this team
yeah. You
moving
overload,
forward?
you overload our midfield. You put numbers in our midfield, and you make Busquets make a mistake. You attack us and do not stop. Use your pace. If teams have pace, they're gonna use it.
Okay, so you think there
But
is a playbook out on us on
I
how
mean,
to
yeah,
attack?
I mean, because we have no balance in that midfield right now. So if you overload us in that midfield, it's gonna cause problems.
Now you mentioned the attack for LA Galaxy, and then you mentioned the signing of Yoshida. Um, unfortunately, one of our biggest talking points, given how we're Inter Miami fans and also U.S. men's national team fans, was Jalen Neal. He did miss the game due to injury, but just a quick little assessment on what you think Jalen Neal is going to be.
He's a dynamic center back. Can he be healthy to give them minutes this year? I believe as the season goes on and he does play, he's gonna get better and better, and eventually he's gonna be, I think, a part of U.S. men's teams of the future. Not maybe right, maybe not right now, but in the future when you get Tim Ream is starting to get up there in age. John Brooks. Even though he doesn't get called up, when is his time going to be done? Things like that. I think Jalen Neal will be a name for that player pool to watch out for.
In time for 2026?
Man, that's I'm not sure. That 2026 team. I mean, I already have our center back pairing in mind, and he's not in there. So I don't know if he gets in that team.
Are you just going to leave us with you have it in mind? You're
Oh,
not going to.
oh, it's Chris Richards and Cameron Carter Vickers.
Okay, so you don't see. I know he's long in the tooth, but you don't see Tim Ream. I know Walker Zimmerman is off the edge, but you don't
Yeah,
see Tim Ream.
Tim Ream maybe as that veteran guy to bring in late and stuff like that. But yeah, I truly think that Cameron Carter Vickers and Chris Richards are our best duo right now.
John Brooks,
You gotta play. You gotta play for us. He hasn't played for us in what 3 4 years.
something like that. That
But
uh,
he plays for Wolfsburg, so we'll see.
Berhalter ball. But okay, so going into the game, Herons have 3 points in hand.
Mhm.
Formidable LA Galaxy team. What were your expectations in terms of um, what you thought Inter Miami needed before the game to take away from the LA Galaxy?
Uh, to jump on them early and quick. They're a team that really hadn't played all that many games together. Relatively, new guys on the team, jumping on their momentum from last season and their form from last season. Um, you know, Obviously it's gonna change, but setting the tone early, limiting those mistakes in the midfield and finishing chances. But we saw that wasn't the case in the first half. Absolutely steamrolled us. We had no answer for their attack, no answer for Puig, no answer for Paintstil on the right. It was just us. Like it was a second half all over again of the Real Salt Lake game.
Almost like a continuation, a hangover of sorts.
Yeah, they could not they couldn't get any momentum going forward.
Okay. Um, what was your assessment of Calendar and the back line? Because they were just under immense pressure. Then you have the, I think it was a soft PK, the Busquets shoulder tap
Yeah.
on, you know, there in the box, and then the Calendar save. What was your impression of that sequence?
Uh, a total mess of everything. I mean, it first starts with the referee. You know, I don't. The MLS has to sort it out with these replacement refs. And, this can't keep going on. I'm not saying it wasn't a pen or it was a pen and stuff like that, but it was called a pen. It was over. It was checked by VAR, given as a pen. So there, you got to play the game. Calendar, steps up, balls hang, and he makes that save. Keep us in the game. If they score that goal, I truly think they win 3-0. They get momentum and they don't look back. But Drake Calder steps up like he did in the Leagues Cup last year, proving that he's a top keeper in the MLS, and he makes a save. He 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 put us on his back, to say the least, in that first half.
What would be the game goes to halftime.
Mhm.
What did you think Inter Miami needed to do so that the first half didn't snowball into the second?
Man, find ways to alleviate pressure in the midfield. To be honest, if it's dropping more players into the midfield to receive the ball, if it's bringing on a David Ruiz, a loss in Sunderland, a true six maybe. But definitely helping out Busquets, who struggled in that game again. Um, relieving some of that pressure that we were facing is something that I look forward to seeing in that second half. Getting Alba into space, you know, finding him in the attacking, third. Him and Messi have a good link up, so trying to get forward and trying to create chances was something we needed to do in that
You
second
think Inter,
half. To
you think Inter Miami was fortunate to go into the half 0-0?
yeah, yes, yes.
So you think you stated that if that PK went in,
No,
um,
I think it's 2-0 going into the half.
so you think that
They get it. They
uh,
they find another one. They
yeah,
find
the
because
dam just
we
breaks and it
yeah,
floods.
that first one goes in, and then are we gonna be overcompensating, or are we gonna be like, oh, okay, we gotta get one before half. Let's try to get one. Then guess what? You have Sergei Kristov and Toto going against three pacey wingers and a striker, and then you're giving up a goal.
So
So to,
we start
going into yeah,
we start the second half 0-0, and there's a slight improvement, but I don't think enough. What was your impression of the first 30 in the first half?
yeah. I mean, we started to get the ball forward. Alba was in on the attack. We started getting you know, picking spaces, between their midfield, finding pockets of space, to play a ball in, put the ball, sending across, something. There was some sort of life to the team, not just us retreating and turning our heads and, covering a counter attack, which, happened. But, that first 25 was, more encouraging than the last 30 of the first half.
The back line started absorbing, like you said, continuation of that first half absorbing pressure.
Hmm.
The the dam can only take so much, and it springs a leak.
Yeah, springs a
They
little leak.
really put Calendar in a position where, I mean, unless he's Stretch Armstrong or Go Gadget Arms, there was absolutely nothing he can do. And Galaxy goes up 1-0. What were your thoughts once Galaxy finally broke through with that first goal?
I was like, oh boy, here it comes. Here comes the onslaught. Um, I was like, man, we held on for so long, to see a point, disappear just like that. But it wasn't. It was just. It was coming. Yeah, you can see it coming from a mile away. Across the run of play, going with the yeah, across the run of play against the run of play. These guys just in the open field. Shot on calendar near post, parries it away, but it's right to the right winger. Just puts it across the frame of goal and tapping. So there's nothing you can do about it. And I was like, okay, well now we're not gonna leave without a point. Awesome. But it was something you could tell was coming because they were just on the front foot the entire game. So it didn't surprise me they got one.
Right. Now, what was your impression of the response to that 1-0? Because you had mentioned that you expected if that first one went in, it was going to be 3-0. What was your impression of that response? I mean, they almost turned the tide a bit towards the end there, um, but it was a lot more of an up and down game as opposed to absorbing that much pressure. What do you think
Yeah,
of that
I mean, look, they scored that first one, and then they got a couple counters right back at it, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be three. It's gonna happen. We're gonna lose 3-0 in the 80th minute. Three goals right back to back to back. But we had Messi and Alba, link up play, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Eventually, Messi gets that goal in the 90th plus second minute of injury time.
Do
It
you
just
think the game
goes
was
to
lost at that point?
the man. I I don't think it was lost because we did have a good chance where John McCarthy saved Diego Gomez's point blank shot, just an unbelievable save off of the Messi
Yes.
free kick. That was deflected in and around the box and stuff like that. I thought for sure we are gonna get a goal off that. I saw it. I was like, oh, goal. McCarthy slides across to his right, parries it away. Incredible save. So at that point, I mean, I was like, the game may not be lost. We still have life. It just depends on can we find that goal. And surely enough, we were able to change the tide a bit when Campana came on and Borgelin came on to provide, a little bit of aerial attack and some fresh legs and going forward.
Now, a lot, and this is something I've heard a lot, that Inter Miami isn't deep. Uh, but in this game, the bench came on and provided a lot of energy, a lot of spark that allowed that that Gomez chance and that late goal. What was your impression of some of the lesser known names, Sunderland, Borgelin, that came in that second half?
Yeah, they provide fresh legs. They provide, relief. You know, going against tired legs of LA Galaxy. Borgelin gives you height, gives you an aerial, attack. Lawson Sunderland play a six, can play an eight, gives relief to Busquets. But more than anything, fresh legs, I would say.
Okay.
It is so important to keep guys fresh and to bring in subs at the correct time. In a game where you're trying to get a point, salvage a point, even go for the win, which it looked like Miami was trying to do at the end. But having some of those subs, come in and just provide, some sort of attacking semblance and some attacking prowess and chances in the final third is something that we can work on.
Miami gets that goal in stoppage time. Uh, they take a point away from LA. Um, Overall assessment of the first two games thus far, what Alex says that too late, too late of a push. Alex, can you
Y-
clarify? Was
Yeah,
uh, Go ahead, Mark.
too late of a put. I know what he's trying to say. I would think, meaning that we started trying to get into their attacking third too late in the game. But it credit to Galaxy, man. They put in a good game plan for us. Try to turn the ball over. I mean, try to turn over possession quickly. Get out into space, and they definitely made it difficult for us. But when we have possession of the ball, we need to make it count. We can't just have possession and have empty an empty product. We need to score. We need to finish. And had we scored maybe within the 75th minute, could we have gotten another one? Yeah.
I mean, I think too late of a push. I was trying to find the exact time, but Alba found Messi on to borrow another hockey term on almost a one timer,
The
and
cutback from the
that
left
which
from Messi cut back on the left side, just
yes,
outside the right post or
yes,
the keeper's right, I would say, similar to
yes,
the goal he scored against Nashville.
yes, and I'm like that was what that wasn't too late
No, no,
in the
it's
game.
no, but um, it you're having tired legs do that in the 80th 85th minute of the game. Um, we need that from the beginning. Like we need that mentality in the beginning. Hey, two goals, let's go get it. Let's start off the first half, strong. Um, let's not give these guys a reason to stick around. So that's where that late push I think he's talking about comes in. That we need to wake up quicker. We need to play to our strengths a little bit quicker. We need to be cleaner, tactically sound, on the same wavelength, things like that. More balance. Um, you know, I, I could ask the question, what is our attacking, what's our attack? What's our attacking ideas? What are we doing?
Is it what for a long time I thought the Argentina national team was okay. Give the ball to Messi, he'll figure it out. Do you
Yeah,
think that Miami is a lot like that at the moment?
right now, yeah, because we have no pace. Give Messi wingers with pace to cut in, make runs outside in, so you can play the ball in between the center backs and, have Suarez playing off the shoulder and stuff like that, would really help. But, we really don't have that, so we can't play like that. And we have to figure out how can we play that best suits, who's on the pitch at a certain time. And that's up to Tata to figure out.
Now we've mentioned Calendar and his play. Um, in my opinion, and I'm sure you'd agree, man of the match against the Galaxy.
Hmm.
given, I mean, the man who faced the firing squad, and
Hmm.
if not for that, you know, just no chance goal that LA Galaxy had, probably gets a clean sheet. Um, would you call? And it's a bit of a cheap shot here. Uh, would you call it heroic? His effort?
I mean, it's not something we haven't seen, um, given, the history of our back line and being able to, absolutely not defend at certain times and putting him, in 1v1 scenarios and him coming up big in pens in the League's Cup, so it's nothing that he's not accustomed to. But this early in the season, you could say heroic just in the sense of starting the season off strong with 4 points to say the least. It's not you're not getting only 3 points. He saved you a point essentially. So it was a heroic effort from him in that game.
Do you think he's
I would
carried
say.
the team thus far?
Hmm. He's been part of it. He's been a reason. Him and Messi, yeah, have carried the team. But it just goes to his. He had a very. Calendar had a very poor
World
preseason. I would
tour?
say
Yes,
in my eyes, he had a poor world tour.
100%. He was
And for
bad.
him to
You don't
come
have
out,
to
yeah.
sugarcoat it. He was bad.
No, he was really bad. Like I didn't know. I was like, am I gonna be worried about Calendar now, who was one of our better players last season? But he came up huge, in both games. That Real Salt Lake game, I know they had a corner late. He parried away right in front of him. So he's put us in his backpack for the first two games. He's really put out some fires.
I think Alex agrees with me that
Yeah, he
Calendar's
does.
been, and I don't mean to plug my graphic again, but he's been a
Super.
superhero, hasn't he?
He has, man. He has, and it's good to have a good keeper at the back there.
I agree. I think that in these first two games, if I have to pick an MVP, to me it's Calendar. You
And
know
I don't think
it's
anyone would have a problem with that, to be honest.
so in that Galaxy game, Suarez looked painfully,
Hey,
painfully
man, it's gonna be the
just
story of the season. Every game, it's gonna be, can Suarez make 45 minutes? Can Suarez make it to 50?
struggle
Quite
bus.
frank,
Oof.
yeah. I mean, you need like this is where the Campana comes into play. Campana has proven that he can play, he can score, he can be a nine. Um, just play him. He's young. He's got fresh legs. Just play him. Let Suarez figure out his knees and you know his body now. He's 39 years old. He's not the same. You need to let him figure out where he's best at, like
Now
when he's best at.
you've been mentioning Suarez starts, Campana come off, but Alex made a point earlier. Do you think Campana starts and you bring Suarez in as a super sub? I know that it was totally different circumstances, but
Mhm.
Atletico did that with Antoine Griezmann. I know it was a contractual thing,
Mhm.
but do you think he'd be better served almost like in Major League Baseball, kind of like a relief pitcher, come in, use your bullets full blast for 15, 20, even 30 minutes,
I mean,
and let Campana get the time with Messi where he's a bigger body, more of an aerial guy? Do you think it should be flipped?
yeah. For the time for I want to for the Orlando game, yes. I definitely think Campana needs to start. We have a tough sledding coming ahead, a bunch of games, CONCACAF games, so it's going to be important how we rotate those two, especially. And Borgelin, another one who can provide minutes up there. But I do think starting Campana and giving Suarez, a rest, maybe bring him on, late in the game. You're up a goal or you're tied, find another goal and stuff like that. I think that is a solution or something that needs to be looked at.
Now you mentioned the Orlando City game.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on Inter Miami um, going into that game? The Turnpike
It's gonna
Derby.
be a brawl. It's gonna be a brawl. It's gonna be one of those chippy, games where there's hard fouls, hard tackles, constant bickering between the players. It's gonna be it's two teams that don't like each other. A team that Miami knocked out last year in the League's Cup.
Now Orlando has a history. Okay, so Orlando, in my opinion, was the first team that basically said, "I don't care that you're Messi," and they
Yeah,
basically sent out the goon squad and said, "We are going to kick, hit, elbow, punch, everything, the kitchen sink at Messi in terms of physicality." That's what you're expecting again from them?
yeah. I don't expect anything less. It's gonna be a team that Orlando's a good team. They added Luis Muriel and Nicolas Lodeiro to an already, pretty damn good team. So I would expect them to be top three in the East. Challenge for the Supporter Shield, challenge for the MLS Cup. So this is not going to be an easy task. But it's going to be one of those, tough games that let's see if we're up for it.
Now we heard the rumors. There was a lot of confirmations, but Redondo finally gets announced,
Hmm.
officially official, super secret official, uh,
Super secret.
super secret official. Earlier this week. Um, do you think he gets a start in Orlando City? And if so, what are your expectations from him?
Well, considering Redondo hasn't gotten his playing visa yet, his work visa, he cannot play.
Okay, so he will be out. Okay,
He will be out. I have not seen, heard anything that has said that he has acquired it. So until he does, he won't be able to play. But
okay,
once he's able to acquire it, train, that kid is going to start.
okay. So do you expect any changes in terms of starting lineup, or do you expect the same
You know
team that
what?
started against the Galaxy?
I wouldn't be surprised if David Ruiz starts. He's a
Over?
kid with a chip over Julian Gressel.
Okay. So you think that Gressel changes immediate?
Yeah, for me, it is in the best interest to make that change.
Okay,
David Ruiz gives you that, he'll put in that tackle, he'll get dirty, just like a Diego Gomez. You need those guys in that type of game against Orlando. Gressel, who's to say he's gonna put in a tackle like that and stuff like that? We just need David Ruiz, younger legs. He's played in the midfield, natural midfielder, can play the eight, possibly the six, next to Busquets, but I think David Ruiz starts.
okay. And now for the $1 million question, our super commenter Alex, do you think Campana gets a start?
Yeah, this game I think he starts. I think this is the game that, we get him on to start.
You think he goes 90?
I I think he starts. Tata, I have no idea what he's gonna do.
You
I think Mark Gonzalez thinks he starts.
stubborn Tata shows up or no?
Probably. I mean, probably. It,
Okay. So I mean, well, it's it's Saturday at 4 p.m. MLS or um, other ways to watch.
hmm
Um, what do you think this team needs to do against Orlando City in terms of goals? You think they need two? You think they need one? Is a clean sheet even possible against a team like this, or do you think they just crumble under the pressure?
I don't want to say we crumble under the pressure because we haven't shown that against Orlando just yet. We've played them relatively well the last two seasons. Um, but they do possess, players that of quality with Fagundo Torres, Luis Muriel, you know, guys who can put the ball away. Um, it's gonna be a battle. Can we score two? Yes. Will we score two? It just depends on, can we finish those chances up top? We've had chances to score. Can we put them away? You need to put them away against this team because you don't want to give this team any sign of life if they're down, any sign of momentum. And you don't want to give them momentum. You want to keep them away from you as much as possible. You need to help out Busquets in that midfield. We need to be clean at the back, uh, and just play a very, very, very good game to get a win here.
Given how difficult this team is, you said you expect them to be top three in the East. Do
Hmm
you think any veterans get a day off, or do you think it's balls to the wall, full 100 because of how hard the game is? Freire maybe minutes,
I mean,
Busquets maybe some time
maybe a
off.
game where you see this is where you see, yeah, this is where you see Freire minutes, Busquets minutes. He's probably gonna play most of the game. Um, just depends on when we make those subs. Like those subs are gonna be critical. Is the game gonna be lost when we make those subs? Are we gonna make those subs for fresh legs again? Relieving pressure and stuff like that. So
He was
it's gonna
asked
be.
in the press conference earlier if he was 100% healthy. He
He's
said
not.
no.
He's not. No, he said 7 to 10 days out from being fully healthy. So he's probably playing at 70%, I would say. Maybe 65, 70% on that ankle. Yeah, that's where you need to maybe bring him off in the 75th minute, 65th minute, and bring in someone else and pack that midfield tighter.
Okay, okay.
You know,
So what is your prediction against Orlando City?
man, it's one of those games that can go either way. I could see us, a 2-1 win for us. I can see a 1-1 draw again. I can see a 1 or 2-0 loss for us. It's hard, especially this early against a good team. Um,
On the record,
we're at
on the
home.
record.
We've been relatively on the record. I'm gonna give us a yeah. When we beat them 4-2 in the League Cup, I think. Oh man, give me a 2-1 win to Miami. Messi scores and give me. Let's get Campana on the score sheet.
I'll be honest. I think it's a 2-2 draw. I think it's going to be a slugfest.
Okay,
I
yeah,
think
I can see a 2-2 draw just as much as I can see a 2-1 win for us. It's gonna be one of those grinded out games.
now Inter Miami next week has um they have
CONCACAF,
Nashville in the CONCACAF Champions, and they have who's the second game?
Montreal
Montreal. So
in the league.
they play Thursday and Saturday, correct?
Yes, Thursday and Sunday, I believe.
Thursday,
Thursday,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay, right. So given that Inter Miami plays on Thursday and our
Mhm,
shows is on Thursday,
mhm.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna come on a date early. We'll talk about Orlando City on Wednesday and preview both the CONCACAF Champions Cup game Thursday and the Montreal game. We'll definitely make sure that we cover all the games. Um, we're here for Inter Miami. As much content as we can possibly give you. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. We thank Alex for being so active in the comments. We love our fans, so the more you guys can comment, the better. We'll see you guys Wednesday, and thank you for watching the show. Where can they find you, Mark?
Right there at Mark G 1110.
All right, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.